So to summarize, here's what's wrong with modern gaming. Matchmaking application 120 that has scoring engine 122, which is basically skill-based matchmaking that is so strong that it may even ignore the latency variable when looking for a match. Analytics and feedback engine 124 that uses biometric factors like facial expressions, pulse, body language, and sweat to determine player satisfaction. Pipeline engine 126, which creates soft reservations, which are essentially protected brackets for a specific parameter of players exceeding a certain threshold. Microtransaction engine 128 that tries to pair lower skilled players who don't have the bundles with higher skilled players that do have the bundles, at the same time just rewarding players who buy bundles in general by giving them easier lobbies. On top of all that nonsense, they're adding AI bots, Matchmaking Engine 122, that may make a determination to utilize one or more NPCs if a requisite number of players has not joined a gameplay session. NPC Engine 124 that may generate bots just on the fly when other players leave the lobby. NPC Profile Engine 126 that adds dummy data to a bot profile so that when you click on the bot profile, you're led to believe that it's a human player. And Artificial Intelligence Engine that tries its best to demonstrate human-like behavior, like friendliness. These patents are way more pervasive and manipulative than I would have thought. This is the future of modern matchmaking. What's going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in. It's your host Trade TV, coming back at you with another video here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys Activision's insane patents, including the matchmaking application and AI bots. So a lot of people have been making videos about AI bots in the new COD recently. NeuroCinema's been making videos, 8thought's been making videos. I think Blame Truth was the first guy who made this topic come to light, and I'm here to show you that they are 100% true. If you just go to patents.google.com and look up Activision AI, the first thing that comes up is system and method for transparently styling non-player characters in a multiplayer video game by Michael Condrey and Mark Rubin. So we'll go to the latest application of this, open it up, and we see the latest application is in 2020. Let's read what does the abstract say. A system and method are provided for transparently styling non-player characters, NPCs, in multiplayer video games such that it is difficult to distinguish between human players and computer-controlled NPCs. NPCs may be styled to resemble human players in terms of both player profile attributes and gameplay actions such that players may not recognize NPCs as non-human computer-controlled players. Additionally, or alternatively, NPCs and or human players may be presented with a limited set of profile attributes that may reduce or eliminate the ability to distinguish between human players and NPCs. One or more profile attributes may be anonymized, and or the ability to view player profiles of human players and or NPCs may be disabled altogether. So Blame Truth made a video the other day where he thinks he found a bot that didn't have a player name, so it's missing some attributes or maybe anonymized, right? Take a look at this clip.
As far as my recent players go, I definitely played with them. It says last met 49 minutes ago or whatever. Like, I've personally never seen this. As long as I've been playing Call of Duty, I've never seen somebody in my recent players just not have a name. And I'm going to ask them, where's your name? It's about to get weirder. I'm going to go back after a little bit. I'm going to fast forward here, and you can tell it's the same person because of the whisper. I'm going to show it again. Same timestamps and all that. More of their information has disappeared since I sent this whisper. Look on the right there.
So as you can see here, when he's going to message him the first time, it shows that he's playing on Xbox Network and using a controller. And then when he goes to message him again, that's just gone. So this is probably just a bot disguised to look like a real player. So now let's look at Matchmaking Application 120. First we start with Matchmaking Engine 122. Mind you, we're looking at the patent for NPCs. So there's already a different patent talking about the matchmaking, but this patent adds bots on top of that. For example, in one implementation, Matchmaking Engine 122 may make a determination to utilize one or more NPCs if a requisite number of player humans has not joined a gameplay session after a predetermined time period, so as to not unnecessarily delay gameplay for one or more waiting human players. So part of the matchmaking system is that if there's not enough human players, that it's going to fill the lobby with bots, or so they say that's the reason initially, but it gets way more in depth than that. Additionally, or alternatively, The determination to utilize one or more NPCs may be based on skill level, example, beginner, intermediate, expert, of the one or more waiting human players. So the AI bots have skill-based matchmaking, of course. For example, if an average skill level of the waiting human player is less than the threshold skill level, for example, less than intermediate level, Matching Engine 122 may make the determination to utilize NPCs. In some implementations, human players may be aware that NPCs may be used in a given match, even though it is not readily apparent which players are NPCs and which are human players. So if you're playing in a lobby with a threshold skill level that is less than an intermediate value, you might be put in a lobby with AI bots as well as human bots. Alright, so there we go. We've already established that NPCs are in the game. We'll come back to this patent later, but do you guys even realize what the matchmaking patent entails? Let's go to the latest version here. Latest application is December 8th, 2020. The abstract says, a matchmaking system and method is provided that facilitates optimization of player matches for multiplayer video games, so engagement optimized matchmaking. The system may provide a generalized framework for the matchmaking using historical play data and analytics. The framework may facilitate automatic determination of the optimal mix of players and styles to produce the most satisfying user experience. Hold up, so Activision thinks they know a better user experience than the user? The system may dynamically update analytical process based on statistical or otherwise observed data related to gameplay at any given time. In this manner, the system may continually tune the matchmaking process based on observation of player behavior, gameplay quality, and or other information. Okay, so let's see what that all entails. Now we found Matchmaking Application 120 that includes Scoring Engine 122, Microtransaction Engine 128, Analytics and Feedback Engine 124, UI Engine 130, Pipeline Engine 126. So I'm going to break all those down for you. Scoring Engine 122 is basically just skill-based matchmaking we all know and love, so let's see what it says about that. Scoring Engine 122 may ignore the latency variable when generating a match score. Wow. I thought the idea of this was to produce the most satisfying user experience. Is latency not an important variable for a satisfying user experience? Apparently not to Activision. And other people know it too. Connection is like the last on the list of priorities. It literally states right here that it could be a variable which could be ignored. So Nero Cinema made a video a couple weeks ago where him and his friends are playing the new COD and they have a couple of good games in a row. And the skill-based matchmaking is so strong that it ignores the latency variable and puts him in a European lobby.
Back up, it's just like, it's really laggy. Well, my friend Foley here said, dude, check the scoreboard, and we did. And lo and behold, look at our ping compared to these guys on the other team.
But why do you think that is? Why do you think the developers are trying to punish the good players? You guys remember back in Modern Warfare 2019 what the Infinity Ward developers said about catering to noobs back then?
How to say this? Lower skill to have a bad experience. We want someone who's higher skill to have a bad experience.
And I just hate the whole way this post is worded. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a big step forward and I'm glad they're finally addressing it after all these years, but the way they worded it, man, you could just tell. Our approach combines latency, search time, and skill along with many other factors. Okay, let's see what those other factors are. Player engagement factor, for example, a speed of player input or a level of focus determined from camera peripherals. So if you're running around playing like a crackhead doing those YY 360s all the time, the game's gonna think you're having a grand old time. A biometric factor, for example, facial expressions, pulse, body language, sweat. What am I reading? Is this real? This is the only time the word biometric is used in this 30-page patent. Guys, if you don't know what biometrics are, it is like how we have our thumbprint to unlock our phones or our facial recognition to unlock our phones. That's what's known as biometrics, and it could be used for stuff like I just said, passwords and securities, right? And gaming companies can potentially use biometric systems to detect bots or automated scripts, right? That makes sense to use it in a good way, right? But Activision's using them to manipulate your matchmaking. For example, a company should be able to distinguish a mouse movement from a shake or tremble of the hand. This requires accuracy and consistency to ensure that the user's biometric data is used properly and not abused for other purposes. Developers must also consider how they present this technology to their players. they're not presenting this technology to us. This can be achieved through transparent communication of the benefits and ways to opt out of using biometrics. They're not going to ask us if we want to opt out. I'm sure we agree to all this in the terms of service when we play the game, and I don't think the game wants to ask you, do you or do you not want to have your face scanned for facial expressions while you're playing the game? But this just sounds insane, right? This sounds like a sci-fi movie. Is this really happening? Biometric, the only time this word is used in this patent. Example, facial expressions, pulse, body language, sweat, etc. So I'm like, ain't no way, right? So I'll go back to the patents and I look up Activision biometric factor. I don't see anything specifically stating biometric factor, but I see a couple patents talking about improved NPCs, improved content generation, improved player matching. So I did a search for Activision improve, and then I see this one: methods and systems to modify two-dimensional facial images of a video to generate in real-time facial images that appeal to three dimensions. So let's go to the latest version of that. Currently active, by the way. Latest application is in 2020. Let's read the abstract. Specification describes methods and systems for increasing a dimensional depth of two-dimensional image of a face to yield a face image that appears three-dimensional. The methods and systems identify key points on the 2D image, obtain a texture map for the 2D image, determines one or more proportions within the 2D image, and adjusts the texture map of the 3D model based on the determined one or more proportions with the 2D image. And then it shows some pictures and stuff. So at first I was like, okay, maybe it's just like character modeling for campaign characters. And then I start scrolling down and I find figure 15, which shows some gameplay and a person in the webcam, and also has this flowchart pertaining to that image. So Operation 1400 says obtaining image of a face. From figure 14, a flowchart illustrating an exemplary computer implemented method to convert a 2D image into a 3D image for display of players in a gaming environments and other interactive display characters, which are controlled by real individuals. And embodiments, 3D images of the user/player are created with expressions and or reactions with an interactive virtual reality, augmented reality, or mixed reality environment, such as but not limited to chatting and game environments. And embodiments, expressions/reactions of the user/individual/player are tracked in real time and thereby reflected through their corresponding 3D images seen on a display. In this case, a 2D frontal face image of the individual is used to create a replica of at least the face in 3D. 1400, the system obtains an image of the individual from one of the sources, including but not limited to an independent camera, a camera integrated with a mobile or any other computing device, or an image gallery accessible through a mobile or other computing device. And then it talks about specifications of identifying key points on your face and all that. And an explanation of figure 15 illustrates a still image from a display of gaming application where 3D image of a user player is seen in the display. And embodiments, the expression/reaction and movements of image reflect the user's expression, reaction, and movement in real time. When I first read this, I was like, ain't no way, right? This, like, if this was happening, this would have to be talked about. No way I'm the first person to find it. Like, is this really happening? Are they really scanning our faces for our facial expression? Surely if this is happening, it would have been talked about before, right? So I start looking into it and I find this guy's video, Why So Serious, and just watch this clip.
I think what they're doing is they're scanning your facial expressions, your facial features and whatnot.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They have the little
They did
3D
say they were
face
doing
model
that.
database. Yeah.
And to stand back to your previous point, Sirius, where you said what do they define how people feel while they're playing?
Yeah.
Probably that.
What the fuck? So they're literally looking at
that, yeah.
what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, but how many people really have a webcam? I mean,
All of us. All of us here.
no, but that's us though. We're not. We're the exception. I mean, we're all basically content creators and streamers and you name it. Like, who really just? Does everyone really have a webcam?
Unless there's a built-in camera.
Those kids that have the Connect mics in the lobby.
Unless there's a built-in camera in consoles that we just don't know about. But they never told us.
Oh, brother.
So yeah, everyone in that video agrees that that's happening there. And then I go to the peripherals that the image is pertaining to. So peripherals 140 may be used to obtain an input. For example, direct input, measured input from a player, Peripherals 140 may include, without limitation, a game controller, a gamepad, a keyboard, a mouse, imaging device such as a camera, a motion sensing device, a light sensor, a biometric sensor, and or other peripheral device that can obtain an input from and or relating to a player. Peripherals 140 may be coupled to corresponding computer system 110 via wired and or wireless connection. And so those peripherals said it could be a wireless device. This says it could be independent camera and a mobile device. So I wonder if you got your phone somehow set up pointing towards you, that they will be able to scan facial expressions from your phone while you're playing the game somehow. I don't know. They probably got all sorts of ways to look at you. I'm sure you agree to all this stuff in the terms of service. Plus, we've already known that they were going to start using AI voice recording, so that if you get reported in a lobby, it might take a clip of your voice to be sent to a real developer. So they could just as easily monitor your real voice in real time and check for excitement levels or something. I just want to point out they're using the OG MW3 as a template for this. This guy's playing on hard hat on the OG MW3 using the CM901 suppressed, just to add icing on the shit cake. Alright, coming back to the matchmaking application, let's talk about Microtransaction Engine 128. For example, Microtransaction Engine 128 may match a more expert marquee player or otherwise influential player with a junior player to encourage a junior player to make game-related purchases. A junior player may wish to emulate a marquee player by obtaining weapons or other items used by the marquee player. Other types of pairings and or other groupings of players may be used as well. So the game tries to match bad players who don't have bundles against good players with bundles, so that entices the bad players to buy said bundles. Then it says, for example, if the player purchased a particular weapon, Microtransaction Engine 128 may match the player in a gameplay session in which the particular weapon is highly effective, giving the player an impression that the particular weapon was a good purchase. This may encourage the player to make future purchases to achieve similar gameplay results. So you buy a gun in the store, so you buy a weapon from the shop, and the matchmaking engine is going to reward you with a gameplay session in which a particular weapon is highly effective. Just give you a couple bot lobbies so that it gives the player an impression that the particular weapon was a good purchase. Now the last one I want to talk about is Pipeline Engine 126. According to an aspect of the invention, Pipeline Engine 126 may generate one or more software reservations for a player based on a match score, game profile, a player profile, and or other information. Software reservation may compromise a match between two or more players found in one or more subsequent gameplay sessions that are reserved for the players. The match may be generated as described herein, based on match scores exceeding a threshold match score. So first of all, what these soft reservations are essentially protected brackets with specific threshold parameters of player data. So based on match scores exceeding a threshold match score. So if your score is too high or too low, there are protected brackets specifically for those levels. So there might be soft reservations of like bot lobbies with bot players and literal AI bots, as well as what's called shadow ban lobbies where you're having to play against literal cheaters. So Pipeline Engine 126 may anticipate an interest in subsequent gameplay sessions, for example based on our game profile and or player profile, and make a soft reservation for two or more players. For example, a soft reservation may be generated before the players have expressed an interest in the subsequent gameplay sessions. So that's all fancy wording to basically say Pipeline Engine automatically creates this lobby with a specific set of parameters and predetermines other players and other games to be placed into that lobby together. I mean, it's actually pretty smart and it makes sense what they're doing, but saying this out loud is just crazy. This is not what Call of Duty is supposed to be. This is not what matchmaking is supposed to be. The problem with stuff like this is that we end up with very extreme sides. You know, people are going to be grinding to get into these soft reservation lobbies, and only the people that abuse the system are going to reap all the benefits for good clips and good gameplay. This is what happens when skill-based matchmaking becomes too strict. This is what all your favorite streamers and content creators are doing to get their gameplays and clips. Now the other day, Plain Truth put out a video showcasing what these AI bot lobbies actually look like.
Look at this. I'm just going to stop talking.
fading here. On your 6.
Why are they moving in unison?
So all of this should just speak for itself. How they move in unison is incredibly creepy, by the way. And you're gonna notice something really weird here. The game just glitches out and everyone leaves. And what are the reports of bots, like singular bots? What have been those reports? Do you recall? I'll fill you in if you're like new here or you've forgotten. People will say that bots will come in, melt them, or get melted by the enemy team and then leave before the match ends.
Okay, so now let's go to the actual patent about the AI bots. Michael Condrey, Mark Rubin, latest version 2020. So on top of all that, they're going to add NPC Management Engine, NPC Profile Engine, and AI Engine. NPC Management Engine 124 may generate one or more NPCs in real time on the fly when one or more gaps in the gameplay session are identified. I think it's missing a 1. So basically, if someone leaves your lobby, the game could just generate an NPC just on the fly, just like that, and have it fill the gap. According to the aspect of the invention, NPC Profile Engine 126 may populate an NPC profile either in real time when an NPC is generated or for later retrieval, with attributes and attribute values typical of other human players in a gameplay session. In other words, any player profile attributes that may exist for a human player may also be provided and displayed for an NPC, regardless of whether one or more of the NPC attributes may be populated with non-actionable or dummy data. In this regard, a human player that views or otherwise accesses an NPC player profile may be led to believe that the NPC is actually a human player. Player profile attributes including demographic information, geographic location, gender, income level may be created and displayed in an NPC player profile, along with player appearance preferences, for example, player skin, weapon skin, membership in a fate, clan, or team, preference to play with clanmates or friends, win-loss records, scores, and other information typical of human gamers, yet not necessarily needed for an NPC. In this regard, an NPC may appear human if its NPC player profile is viewed or accessed by human players. What am I reading? This is straight up manipulation. I don't even need to use different words to make this sound wrong. They're using dummy data and fake clan membership to appear human if its NPC profile is viewed or accessed by a human, yet not necessarily needed for an NPC. Because of course it is typical of human gamers. They're talking about us like we're test subjects. Like, yeah, we need to make the bots look like they belong to a clan because that is a typical behavior of other human gamers. Like, what in the fuck am I reading, man? Then we got the AI engine. At one implementation, an NPC may be directed or trained by an AI engine 128 to engage in gameplay behavior that might not typically be associated with that of an NPC. For example, an NPC may be directed to demonstrate behaviors such as friendliness. For example, an NPC that demonstrates sportsmanlike conduct during gameplay that might be someone that a human player would enjoy playing with. What? They're gonna try to design these AI bots to make friends with you? Helpfulness, for example, NPC player may assist another player's shared strategies in other scenarios, or team-oriented behavior, for example, NPC may play toward a common goal. So yeah, they might try to play objective with you, or they might try to push up with you, but just picture this scenario. You give your controller to your brother, Lil Timmy. He's not very good at Call of Duty. He's getting trashed on the first few games. All of a sudden, he's put into these soft reservation lobbies where he's playing against actual AI bots. One of his teammates, who's an AI bot, but Lil Timmy doesn't know. This teammate comes up to him in a friendly manner. Lil Timmy thinks he's getting some attention from his teammate, even though he might not have a mic. Lil Timmy's following this bot around the map, thinks he made a friend, but the whole time it's just an AI bot. Now I'm going to show the first clip Blame Truth showed about AI bots being in the game. At first I was like, nah, that's just a random bad player, right? But if you really pay attention to the movement, it's not human-like. It's very robotic. And now, after reading that, it kind of makes sense why they were playing so oddly.
Mobile, but Activision has made no mention of them being in multiplayer. But you're gonna see this guy walk into a wall here, turn like a confused chicken. I mean, this is not normal behavior. And I have been seeing more and more reports of this. Not only that, but we've been covering this for the past couple days. Guys, truthfully, this is the weirdest stuff I have ever seen. I don't know what's going on, but it's downright creepy.
But don't forget, the AI bots are still involved in the strict skill-based matchmaking, so they're supposed to be hard to find, and they're supposed to blend in with the other players in your lobby. So then I clicked on one of these improved patents. This one is for improved content generation in multiplayer gaming environments. Latest version is from June 22nd, 2021. Computer implemented methods and systems for simulating a multiplayer game environment to allow players of different skill levels to concurrently play the same level of a gaming session. To encourage and incentivize cooperative team behavior, to match players based on subjective variables such as likability and general fun factor, and to tailor gaming content based on social group itself. So it looks like a way to put skill-based matchmaking into groups. And then I scrolled down to table 1 and found this, showing modifiable parameters like degree of accuracy required to hit a target. So there's skill-based hit detection. If you're a high skill player, you gotta have a high level of accuracy to hit the target. And if you're a low skill player, you only need a low degree of accuracy to hit the target. Guys, apparently this patent was first issued in 2017, and so what people are saying is there's probably some type of skill-based luck factor when opening boxes in Warzone. And then I kept scrolling and found something else kind of weird. Players are matched with people they've had fun with to nurture gaming friendships. The embodiments of present specification offer player matching based on subjective variables such as fun or likability, so that habitual play may be encouraged and player retention is increased. Engagement optimized matchmaking. You know, they say they want to nurture gaming friendships, but ever since Modern Warfare 2019 with the lobby disbandments, that's exactly what has been preventing, is nurturing gaming friendships. Because if you have a conversation with someone, you're not going to be able to talk to them the next game. You're going to be disbanded from them and put in an entirely different lobby. So I think it's kind of ironic when they say they want to nurture gaming friendships. They want to nurture it in their own manipulative manners. And I'll show you how in just a sec. So I was looking up the word fun and likability and seeing what exactly they determine to be of quality match from their matchmaking algorithms. And so I found this patent, systems and methods for dynamically weighing match variables to better tune player matches, currently active since 2019. It says, for example, a player may tune coefficients by expressly indicating likability towards another player during a gaming session. For example, a player may imply likability towards another player by cheering them on or engaging in positive chatting on social media interface linked to the gaming environment during or after a gaming session. What? So it knows if you hop off the game and follow each other on Twitter or something. And examples, the likability is determined towards any other player who may or may not be matching with a player in skill, gaming preference, waiting times, and or other information. So table 4 gives some metrics of what their likability entails for things like rage quitting, positive chatting with the player, during or after gameplay session. This is insane. This is so much more pervasive and manipulative than I ever would have thought before looking into this. What else are they coming up with? So I went to the newest patents, and their newest patent relating to matchmaking is this one, generating improved non-player characters using neural networks. So more stuff about AI bots. This was published right after the new COD came out, and it is currently pending status. So the disclosed system and methods track and continuously monitor data about a player or multiple players and create non-player characters, NPCs, and or modify an existing NPC that replicates the player's playstyle. The disclosed systems implement an artificial intelligence engine that monitors how a real player responds to one or more events in a game and correlates game outcomes with real player action, with the actions or reactions of third players, and or with the amounts of extent of engagement. The engine may be used to generate, host, or otherwise provide data representative of one or more NPCs to multiple different games being hosted by one or more servers concurrently. So basically, if this goes through, they're going to start using AI bots to monitor people behavior and replicate bots off of actual players. So now we're going to have NPC application, which is basically all the same NPC stuff, but now we have NPC modification engine. In some embodiments, NPC Application 120 tracks a single human player over time, and NPC Modification Engine 122 independently or in association with AI Engine 128 generates an NPC to mimic the tracked human behavior. So it tracks a single human player over time and generates an NPC to mimic the tracked human player. So essentially it can create an AI bot that plays like you. And then I kept reading, and then it says, upon multiple application of the embodiments of the present specification, an NPC customized according to the player is available to play in a video game in place of the player's character when the player exits the game, or is in some way not presently engaged in the video game. Therefore, embodiments of the present specification player enable the character to be used as NPCs for part of the game. Sometimes embodiments enable player characters to be used in NPCs for all of the game. This is implemented in the case where the total number of players required are less than those available in the game. So this doesn't sound like it's necessarily meant for Call of Duty, maybe for a PvE type of game, but I don't know. What we were reading before with the improved bots program, going off of everything I've read before, like, they could totally make AI versions of other players and have them just be in the game. Guys, I don't know what kind of fucked up dystopian gaming reality we have shifted into, but this is not what Call of Duty used to be. And honestly, I just feel bad for the kids who are actually trying to get into multiplayer gaming in the current day, because all the games are adopting these manipulative tactics. You know, it actually used to mean something when you had a high KD back in the day, or a high score per minute, or you had a good clip or something. Now with all these matchmaking factors involved, you're not even really playing a video game at this point. You're playing an algorithm, and you paid $70 to be the test subjects. Do we remember back in 2017 when there was the matchmaking patent going around? Michael Condrey says, "I've never heard of this patent." And I find that hard to believe, considering this AI bot patent that he worked on in 2020 contains most of that matchmaking information from the patent in 2017.
And it goes over lots of things that people have suspected Activision of doing over the course of the past couple of years.
Also, considering that is the only time Michael Condrey has uttered the word patent on Twitter. And when you go to that post, everyone's calling him a liar. Well, I think if it wasn't in World War II, it's definitely in Call of Duty now. I'm going to be looking forward for what they have to say. Because like I said here, big steps forward, but let's see if they'll be transparent about the AI bots manipulating the matches. Because if something doesn't change soon, these patents don't expire till 2035. Multiplayer gaming's going to be in the gutter. But that's all I have for this video. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. How much of this did you know was in the game? And how much of this even bothers you that's in the game? Let me know in the comments below. And thanks for watching. So to summarize, here's what's wrong with modern gaming. Matchmaking Application 120 that has Scoring Engine 122, which is basically skill-based matchmaking that is so strong that it may even ignore the latency variable when looking for a match. Analytics and Feedback Engine 124 that uses biometric factors like facial expressions, pulse, body language, and sweat to determine player satisfaction. Pipeline Engine 126, which creates soft reservations, which are essentially protected brackets for a specific parameter of players exceeding a certain threshold. Microtransaction Engine 128 that tries to pair lower skilled players who don't have the bundles with higher skilled players that do have the bundles, at the same time just rewarding players who buy bundles in general by giving them easier lobbies. On top of all that nonsense, they're adding AI bots, Matchmaking Engine 122, that may make a determination to utilize one or more NPCs if a requisite number of players has not joined the gameplay session. NPC Engine 124 that may generate bots just on the fly when other players leave the lobby. NPC Profile Engine 126 that adds dummy data to a bot profile so that when you click on the bot profile, you're led to believe that it's a human player. And Artificial Intelligence Engine that tries its best to demonstrate human-like behavior, like friendliness. These patents are way more pervasive and manipulative than I would have thought. This is the future of modern matchmaking.